today's video, I'm going to talk about a very important, if not the most important thing that you could do to shift your reality right now. What is this topic that I'm going to talk about right now? It's beliefs, it's mindset. How do we shift out of the current reality that we're in and accelerate the process of our success? Maybe it's better relationships. Maybe you want to attract more wealth into your life. Maybe you want to have better health because you're going through a disease currently, a dis-ease in the body, ultimately stress in the body. Now, for those of you who are new to my channel, my background is in chiropractic. I've just recently graduated, although I'm not an official licensed doctor yet. But I currently am on this path, on this journey with you. And that journey is that of inner discovery, it's self-discovery, it's transforming our lives for the better. Not living in fear, not living in stress. Because when it comes down to our beliefs, what is the hardest part about overcoming our limiting beliefs? You might have a lack of confidence in yourself right now. Maybe it's the fact that you're just anxious all the time. Maybe you're stressed, nervous, worry about the future. Or maybe you're suffering from past events that you are struggling to get over, and you just keep basically creating this loop inside your head where you're playing this thought or this thing that happened in your past over and over and over and over again like a movie scene. Now, I've been in your shoes. I've experienced the stress, the anxiety, the fear of the future, the grief and the decisions I've made in the past that might have hurt somebody, might have caused somebody stress in their life without even realizing it, right? We all make mistakes in this life, and the ultimate journey and the ultimate lesson of life is to simply learn and evolve and grow from our experiences. We've been brought here by the light, by the Creator. It doesn't matter what religion you believe in, but we are all one. We are all a part of this oneness, this entire ecosystem. All of our thoughts, our feelings, we have magnetic energy through an electromagnetic field that ultimately spans not just a few inches, but feet, that affects everyone around us, right? It's like that person that walks into a room and you just know they're in a good vibration. They're happy, they're relaxed, they're at peace with themselves, versus that one person who enters a room and it's just a bad vibe. What is that? Well, that's the internal state that they're currently going through is creating an electromagnetic frequency that spans out and affects others around them. So the reason that I'm so passionate about this ability to rewire our subconscious mind and tap into our beliefs is because I believe the single most important thing for society and for the world at large is to rewire our subconscious programs that currently might be holding us back, might be thinking in lack, right? Especially when it comes to money, where you're thinking about the bills, maybe you have personal debts that you want to pay off, maybe you're just trying to make a few $1,000s extra per month and get out of the current situation that you're in. And I've been in that position too. I had a startup back in 2017 that was a digital marketing agency towards real estate, and it didn't even start out that way. I had no idea where it was going to go. But then next thing you know, I'm in a plane traveling to different parts around the country, filming huge projects, some of the biggest projects in the country in the United States for real estate related luxury films, documentaries, things like that. I even interviewed a billionaire. I interviewed lots of multimillionaires. But the interesting thing, and the reason I'm no longer affiliated with that company, is because I realized I was chasing the money. So maybe you've had experiences in your life, right, where you've followed a path that you thought was right. Maybe you've got your degree, maybe you dropped out of college. It doesn't really matter what your path is, but you followed that certain thing that you thought was the right way, and you ended up maybe achieving some things, but now you're in a current situation that is much different. Now, I want you to take a deep breath and ultimately realize that the current situation that you're in is exactly where you need to be. First thing that we can ultimately do with our life is bring awareness to where we are at. And until we have that awareness, until we slow down, and a lot of times, if we're constantly in this fight or flight, right? Like we're running from a saber-toothed tiger, because that's what our ancestors, that's when they needed to turn on that sympathetic nervous system, right? Because if you were running from a saber-toothed tiger, you needed to have your body kick into high gear and be like, I need to run from this saber-toothed tiger so I survive. But the current reality that we're in with social media, modern technology, it's very isolating. It can be very depressing. Maybe you're an entrepreneur. You can be on that path of complete isolation while you're building your project, and that can lead to chronic stress, chronic fatigue. Why? Because we're constantly stressed out about money, bills, we're in front of these screens all the time, experiencing a lot of EMFs, which essentially suck the energy out of our mitochondria, which is the energy and the powerhouse of our cells, right? So we have to, first and foremost, connect back to nature and be in a state of awareness. Where are we at? Ultimately, the thing that we need to do is be in acceptance of where we're at. So one thing I like to say is if I feel like this anxiety or whatever it is around the current situation that I'm in, maybe it's personal debt, maybe it's financial issues, maybe it's a relationship issue, health issue, the first thing that we can do is ultimately just take a breath and say, what a pleasure that I'm going through this. What a pleasure that the creator, the light, God, source, whatever you want to call it, has given me this opportunity to learn, to grow. Now, it's such a difficult thing to do if you're not used to this, and it can feel extremely awkward saying, thank you for this debt that I'm in, right? It's like, who would want to say that? But when you shift into that, right, and you shift into that feeling of, oh, thank you, what a pleasure, you'll feel this wave run through you. You'll feel this moment where the fear, the anxiety, it vanishes. And you'll feel this pure bliss, this almost this cold feeling, like you have the chills run through your body because you've just released that stress and that pressure that you're putting on yourself. So by accepting where you're at in this current moment, that is the first step to shifting your reality. Now, getting into the belief systems of rewiring our subconscious mind. Why do we even want to rewire our subconscious mind? Now, Bruce Lipton, a PhD researcher and biologist, he has studied immensely the cells and ultimately the paradigm of learning Newtonian physics, which is all about materialism and this, which is essentially brought into this world through dualistic theory, right? Thinking that we are separate from God and that everything in this world is just matter in space, an empty space, and that we're just kind of here with no purpose really, right? You can be in that camp and believe that. I don't know about you, but that doesn't seem like a very impactful, a very open-minded approach to looking at life. And we know that through quantum physics, through researchers like Joe Dispenza, the HeartMath Institute, different quantum theorists out there, we know that most of this material matter, right? You and I, like I can feel my fingers and it feels as though I'm touching and rubbing my hands together. But my material body and your material body and everything around us that we can sense with our different sense organs, right? Everything that we're taking in this environment is mostly empty space. And that's what the new science tells us. And so what does that mean? It's not panic and like freak out, like none of this exists. No, it's actually a beautiful thing because what it starts to help us understand is that, and what science has helped us determine is that we essentially, how we observe our reality is our reality. So if you observe the world as a particle and a waveform, they're happening simultaneously, which, going back into the earlier studies, show that how you ultimately interpret and perceive this world is how you are experiencing this reality. What a profound insight, right? And I don't know if that excites you. It excites the hell out of me. Why? Because it means that you can change your current reality right now just through changing the way you perceive the world. So if you're seeing the world right now through this camera, through this video, and you're like, man, I'm going through it. I'm so depressed and I'm stressed out all the time. I don't like what I'm doing. And, I just am not happy with what I'm doing. The reality is you can change that. Now, it's not necessarily a simple change, and it will take some practice. Why? Because if our subconscious mind takes over 95% of our entire life, and our conscious mind is only 5%, right? Our rational thinking brain is only 5%. It doesn't really do us any good to try to think through all these problems and rationalize through how this makes sense. And I'm going to worry about making this next decision. And if you're thinking about making that next decision and you're just thinking and thinking and thinking, right? Just scrolling the internet, scrolling social media. How do I solve this problem? If we're in our heads so much, what is that ultimately doing? We're just running a loop of thinking and putting ourselves in our nervous system, which dictates our entire physiology, our bodies, to be in this constant state of stress. And when we're in this constant state of stress at the emotional level and at the neuroendocrine level, we release hormones that put us in stress constantly because we're in our limbic system brain, we're in our amygdala, and we're not in our relaxed state of being, which is our prefrontal cortex, right? Where our rational and decision making is just easeful and we make the right decisions and we do all the right things. But if we're not in that relaxed parasympathetic state of being, then we're either in panic or we're in ease. Panic or ease. Panic or ease. It's one of the two, right? And it's a constant fluctuation, but in our current society, in our current reality, we are in the fight or flight mode way too often than not. And this chronic stress leads to inflammation in our bodies, which leads to dis-ease or stress in the bodies, which ultimately is disease, which are just, medical diseases are ultimately just symptoms that we label. So what we can start to do, if you're wondering, okay, what are the solutions, Chandler? Now, it's a bit complex, but it also doesn't have to be. I wasn't always this motivational, this inspirational person. I wasn't always just positive all the time. I went through school and I went through the public school systems, and I had my experiences. I experienced some bullying. I went through, different kinds of problems and challenges that life threw at me. And a lot of it I handled, the best that I knew I could. But oftentimes I struggled immensely. I was anxious all the time. I didn't believe in myself, especially in school. I thought I was stupid compared to other people. That belief in myself of not believing that I was smart enough like the other kids around me, I ended up doing things like cheating on tests, cheating on exams, getting caught by teachers cheating. Ultimately being in this fearful state all the time, this lack mindset that you might be in. And it led me down a path of making some not so great decisions. Now, I ended up correcting those decisions, and I ended up enhancing my quality of life, but it didn't come easy. I had to rewire my subconscious program. And I did that through practices like hypnosis, through meditational tapes, where when you wake up, you're in a theta brainwave state, which is a light sleep state, also before you go to bed. And when you get into deep sleep, you're in delta, even more relaxed in that REM state. And theta, delta, you're going to be, your brain is going to be much more suggestible to new ideas, new realities of living, versus the other states during the day, right? Like if we're in alpha, beta, gamma, these high thinking states, these rational, day-to-day type of states, you're not going to be able to bypass the conscious program that you have running, or sorry, the subconscious program that you have running. So you can try to tell yourself all day long through affirmations, I am happy, I am positive, I am happy, I am positive. And then you go to sleep, you wake up the next day, and you're experiencing this stress and this anxiety again because you're experiencing the lack. And you're like, this law of attraction stuff just doesn't work. And I've been there where I'm like, this stuff that I'm reading just doesn't work. It's not that it doesn't work, it's that you're not applying the practice correctly. The law of attraction, and it has the word action in it for a reason, is you have to start taking action. Take baby steps. Because what science tells us is that if you want to shift your inner reality and rewire that subconscious program at the cellular level, we have to create an environment and uplift our energy to a more positive emotion. And that could be in the form of feeling love, bliss, all those things, but you have to feel it with energy, because that changes the environment of the cell, and that signals to the cell that you are in this state of happiness, bliss, relaxation, growth, healing, all the amazing things that then change your physiology and actually change your genes and your DNA. You're not subject, and you're not, a lot of people will say, oh, well, it's just my genes, I can't do anything about it. And no, that's not even true. What Bruce Lipton has mentioned in many of his videos and many of his studies is that women who have the breast cancer gene, only 50% of them end up expressing cancer. But what about the other 50%? So there's a clear shift, right? 150%, half of the population took that belief of, oh, I'm screwed, I have cancer, and they ended up getting cancer. And the other half believe that no, they're not subject to what their genes are. Their genes don't dictate their life. Their genes are only a blueprint of their life and their health. They didn't get cancer. How profound is that? Our ability to shift our belief systems can dictate the quality of our life, the amount of money that we bring into our life, the relationships, the people that we attract. And this spans all the different sectors. This is the most powerful tool that you can start applying. And it ultimately starts with shifting our belief systems. Now, I've already mentioned a couple things like hypnosis and meditation, which is what you can start applying into your life by just going on YouTube and searching free different meditational tracks and things like that. What I've found to be even more profound than just simply breathing and meditating, and that's a start, right? As you start going on this awakening journey, you start taking in all these different practices and seeing what works for you, and that's great. You can try all these different things. But ultimately, it's a very simple process, and what I like to do is I like to drop into my heart, because your heart has an electromagnetic field that is 5,000 times greater than that of your brain. So in order to bypass this thinking brain, we need to be in that theta wave state, and we drop into that coherent state, that heart coherent state, through taking in deep breaths in a rhythm of 10 seconds in 10-second intervals. So 5 seconds in and 5 seconds out. And we continue doing that. Do that for a few minutes. If you can get up to 30 minutes, an hour, you will start to recognize that you get out of your thinking brain. And you reach this point where, and if you're new to this, it might be uncomfortable in the first couple minutes. But once you break free from that, now you're in this state where you're dropping into your heart and you're not thinking so much. You're in this parasympathetic state of being, this rest and digest state, which allows your body to heal, to transform itself, to transform your reality. And when you make that a practice, now you're going to better adapt to anything that comes into your life, right? So if you have this stressful moment, or this person cuts you off in traffic, or this person like pisses you off in your life, right? And you're, instead of reacting now, you're being proactive. And so your internal state has changed and you're more adaptable to the stressors in your environment. And that will ultimately lead to better results. So this is not some kind of mystical video or practice where, this information that I'm sharing to you is not tangible and it's not going to help you in this current reality of the physical world. This transcends the physical reality and ultimately is the most important thing that we should be teaching kids in school. We should be teaching them how to drop into their hearts and self-regulate their autonomic nervous system, which we're taught we can't actually access, but we know through science and through monks studying them in the Himalayan mountains, they're able to drop into these meditative states where they can control their temperature, their heartbeats, all these things, right? They can change their physical state of being. And that is the powerful shift that is taking place within you. And I also created, in the description below, I have a free gift for you, which is a free hypnosis tape to rewire your subconscious mind and drop into that heart coherent state. And when you drop into that heart coherent state, you begin to shift your reality. You begin to allow your body to enter a new state of being. And that's what this is all about. And it's a practice. This is not a magic bullet solution, right? And this is one of the many issues with society is we are looking for magic bullet solutions to our problems, but they don't exist. What exists is shifting our reality in this moment, which ultimately comes from rewiring our subconscious mind, which will affect everything in your day-to-day life. You won't have to work so hard. You won't have to try so hard. Everything will be easeful. You can relax and know that your business is going to thrive. You can relax and know that your dream partner loves you, is out there currently right now, searching for you. You can know that your health is in a state of bliss and perfect vitality. You have the power within you, and the mundane tasks of life don't become so mundane. You can enjoy every single moment of this life. And that might seem unrealistic, but if you're new to my channel is not about this idea of realistic that we've been taught. This is about shifting and unlearning everything that we've been taught in schools, which is completely on a philosophy that is outdated and not in alignment with the new science of metaphysics and the new science that is showing us that we can change our lives in an instant simply by changing the way our mind thinks. And the way we change our mind and the way we bypass the current reality that we're in is by getting into the subconscious mind. I'm going to hammer that home over and over and over again in videos. And drop a comment below. I'd love to hear your feedback. I kind of just like to flow with these videos and see where universe source takes me. I drop in and I ultimately know that these videos are here to transform people's lives for the better so that they can go out into society and transform their lives and the lives around them and create this rippling effect that transforms millions. And I appreciate you for being here. I appreciate you for learning and expanding your consciousness with me and shifting into this new reality and dropping into a space where you are in love, you are peace, you're present, you're not worried about the past or the future. Whatever it is that you desire, you have it in this moment. And that resonance, that tuning of the frequency of being in the assumption of the current reality that you ultimately want, creates this resonant energy that attracts whatever it is that you desire out in the universe. You don't have to worry. You can have faith and understand that whatever it is that you desire is out there ready to meet you. And it's as simple as you going out and walking along your path and meeting it at the same energetic level. It's that simple. But we overcomplicate these things, and we overcomplicate what we're doing and thinking that we need to just do and do and do and do. That runs us into these burnout stages where we are pulling our hair out and we think that I need to ultimately just change what I'm doing to get to a new higher level. But that is not the truth. The truth is you are whole and complete in this moment, but it's going to take a belief shift and a mindset shift in order to transcend time and space. And once you do that, you can start attracting the life that you ultimately want to attract. I appreciate you dropping in with me in this video, and I'll see you in the next one.